Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to the Fabrication Friday podcast. I'm your host, Joe Fairley, certified prosthetist, 3D printing enthusiast, and owner of Ascent Fabrication. Fabrication Friday is an all-around fun time where I talk about 3D printing applications, conduct interviews with industry leaders, and much more. Come join us every Friday for an informational discussion around the evolution of the additive manufacturing field and how we utilize various digital workflows and 3D printing methods in our daily work at Ascent Fabrication. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fabrication Friday podcast. I'm your host, Joe Fairley. It's nice to be back this week after being out at the tail end of last week. Some kind of cold came over me. Don't know what that was, but kind of put me out for a couple of days. So this Fabrication Friday podcast was supposed to come out last week. We missed that opportunity, unfortunately, but really excited to have Mr. Bert Habitz, the CEO of colorFabb, on the podcast today. colorFabb has been an outstanding filament partner for us at Ascent Fabrication. Their quality is truly to the next level. They have a lot of attention to detail when it comes to the quality of the filament that they produce. And the very wide arrangement of different materials and different colors that they have put out there. We use a number of their different materials, namely the PETG Economy, as well as the VarioShore quite a bit in all their different colors. The VarioShore is a really neat foaming TPU. If you haven't used VarioShore yet, I would absolutely suggest that you reach out to them and try that out if you're in Europe. Otherwise, at Ascent Fab, we have a really nice big stock of VarioShore that you can buy right from our website, ascentfab.com/shop, and check out what we have in stock. For the VarioShore, there's also NGen Flex. That's another TPU, I think, co-poly blend that is very interesting to print with. Actually has some nice very flexible but feeling extremely durable characteristics to it. We produce flexible inner sockets of uniform thickness for prosthetics, and I'm sure there's plenty of other applications out there for this really, really durable material. Other than that, looking at their PLA economy line as well now, I didn't know that they had the economy line. I'm excited to get into that a little bit. While trying to produce some really big parts on our new black belt printer. So the black belt coming right out of Belgium was installed last week. We had a bunch of great prints right off the bat coming from this printer. Some very long parts, which were pretty cool to see that I wouldn't otherwise be able to print in any other way on my other printers that reliably. And being able to take use of this serial printing, actually, of parts. So when you really get into production level status, the black belt is going to be the one to pay attention to for that use. So bringing back the print of the week this week, we do have a set of bilateral carbon fiber polypropylene AFOs. These AFOs printed on the Raise 3D Pro 3 Plus. We were using their P support material underneath the AFOs to allow us to print that reliably. And the AFOs also have an inner boot out of the colorFabb VarioShore that was printed on the artillery sidewinder. So the AFOs printed in about 25 hours and about 360 grams each, with about 40 grams of support. And the inner boots took about 6 hours and were about 100 grams each. So that is our print of the week. I'm really super psyched about this new carbon fiber polypropylene from PP Print. Very, very rigid, kind of the opposite of their actual polypropylene just on its own. Their normal polypro is quite flexible, which we kind of like for force dissipation reasons. I think that some prosthetic sockets or AFOs like this could be pretty durable because of that force dissipation with the more flexibility from the polypropylene. But in this case, for carbon fiber, super rigid and stiff, exactly what we're going for this patient presentation that we had here. So that is our print of the week this week. Hope you guys enjoy this episode of Fabrication Friday and my conversation with Bert Habitz. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fabrication Friday podcast. I'm very happy to be with Bert Habitz today of colorFabb, the CEO there out in the Netherlands. And really just interested to hear about, Bert, your introduction into the additive manufacturing industry in general and kind of where colorFabb has come about. So thank you very much for taking the time to come on today.
Thank you very much, Joe. So happy to be here and talk to you today and to the audience. So yeah, so what am I doing in 3D these days? So I always say, well, I'm supporting my team. So yeah, I'm captain of the team, but I'm always looking at what can we improve. Looking at our customers, what do they want? Do they have front farms? Do they want to have white label? What is their business all about? And solve some of their problems. And along the way, hopefully we sell some filament for their FDM printers. That's basically it. And if I look at my history, Joe, yeah, how did I came in this position? My history is one in which I always try to improve organizations, systems, or processes, or people. And in the way doing, I always looked at what other possibilities are there to produce a part. Can be an automotive parts. It can be shoe industry. So I've seen a lot of different industries and always looked at possibilities to differentiate in producing. So I always challenge the status quo. I always looked at an organization or a process and of way of doing. I said, well, why not different? So I question everything. And along the way, of course, when we look at development of new products, let's say in construction industry or in the auto repair shops, these kind of things, whatever possible, I will say, well, why not make a prototype? Yeah, but we need so long, many months. We need to talk to 10 suppliers. I said, yeah, but I just want to have a mock-up or something. You want a drawing? I said, no, I want to touch an object, you know, and turn it apart, look at it, and discuss with everybody. And often, of course, 3D printing was not around in a company. But I always ask, I would like to have it. That this gives me enormous possibilities to speed up things and to get the brain cells going and thinking, okay, we can do it differently. So there was always an interest in 3D and what's possible. And along the way, I've been in a company which produced orthotic shoes. Mm-hmm. And what I must say, Joe, what I enjoyed most was looking at the results of the production every morning. Mm-hmm. What shoes were produced, sure, and all the steps along the way. But I always thought, okay, can we change something? Why is it produced this way? Because these shoes were made like that 300 years ago, to be honest. Piece of leather, piece of rubber, and all these kind of things. And yeah, so what I got infected by shoes and orthotics and everything. And when I had the opportunity to talk to the founder of colorFabb, who was also the founder of Proto Printer and Black Belt, together with another couple of guys, I thought, okay, I will grasp that opportunity and just talk. And I said, okay, what is it, what colorFabb is all about? Please explain me. And in the story of how it came to be, it was, okay, we had an idea. We took some of our existing master batches and compounds and tried to make a thread out of it, put it on a spool and see if we can do that. So very brave and unstoppable. Ruud Geloo, our founder, then created in his garage, of course, together with his father, sure, the first batch of filament. And then after that, it went very fast for him, he said. So in 2 years' time, he could scale up have multiple extrusion machines and a small team, and yeah, move from one location to the other because, of course, it's growing until we have now a beautiful location here in the Netherlands with several extrusion lines, nice logistics center, and a very well and professional team.
Mm-hmm.
But the business group. So, and when I was talking to him, he explained the colorFabb, and I said, yeah, okay, but now I'm here for black belt proto print, and I think you are familiar with black belt.
Right.
I said, please explain me this. Belt printer, and a different way of printing, not the normal XYZ. I said, okay, very interesting, and possibly patented. Yeah, okay, what can we do with it? And then it's explained long objects and these kind of things and prototypes. So I was all in. So yeah, that's interesting. But the proto printer excited me even more because there it was possible with a belt to print insoles and solidly insoles alone, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I said, okay, this is a startup. I want to help with my expertise of improvement of anything that we need to do. So you as founders, what do you want me to do? What is your specialty? I will do the rest. So that's actually how we started off. And yeah, I for a time I managed proto printer and took it from startup to scale up. It grew, very decent results, and now they are, I think, up and running and conquering the world, to be honest. So very successful proto printer. And in the meantime, managing multiple companies here, I thought, okay, colorFabb needs more attention. So I needed to step away from proto printer and black belt, and now I'm 100% colorFabb. Because in colorFabb show there is a lot to do, because I have the most interesting customers. The most interesting customers. So just last Friday, I was in Barcelona. Barcelona, there was the Footprint 3D event. And there, all kind of top designers for shoes were present, all kind of manufacturer and manufacturing techniques, so from MGF and MDF, but FDM. And there was a certain vibe in the audience and in the presentations, and very interesting characters. Again, were brave and excited with their technology, their FDM to produce sneakers which look different, which really truly are circular, can be recycled again and again. I thought, yeah, this is the right audience to be in. And having discussion with designers and the ones really making a disruption in the market, I think, yeah, this is so. That's why I'm in the game, right? And yeah, from these customers, I will think, okay, what do we as colorFabb need to do? So we supply material, right? And we supply from PLA to TPU to any copolymer that's out there. Not the ones in the high end, but the normal practical in use.
Sure.
And we try to make it different, to listen very carefully to what the customers want. So, and the good thing is that we are now in the industry together, that the balance between hardware, software, and material is exactly right. So the hardware is not up to the level that it can work consistently with low repair, and the software is able with any intelligence to control the printing process. And the material is subject to just deliver into those two, which then comes to, okay, we want a flexible, lightweight material for, let's say, application RC plane. Or we want for prosthetics, we want a material which, yes, needs to be recycled, of course. It needs to be lightweight, it needs to be anti-allergic, all kinds of specifications. And we would like to, of course, hit all the boxes and say, okay, this is the material that actually you are required, you want to have, which is in many cases not existent yet. So that's what colorFabb does. So we have an R&D, we develop all the time. We have at least 20 projects running. at any given moment. We discuss with startups and scale-ups mostly, but also with the OEM brands out there who want to change their material portfolio or change the setup of printers, or are dissatisfied with others, which of course happens. Yeah, and that's what we do. That's our business. It's the best business to be in.
Yeah, the filament industry, part of the additive manufacturing field here is growing quite rapidly, I would say, and in a lot of different ways. I would say is one of the fastest growing parts of the field. You know, with all the different, not even just new colors that are coming out with different materials, but the different blends of materials. You know, I use quite a few of your materials currently, namely your PETG and VarioShore TPU, as well as the Engine Flex. Can you take me through kind of that decision process that you go through, whether you're working directly with the client or whether you're developing a new material strictly out of colorFabb? Kind of how does that thought process come about for you guys?
There are several verticals which which the thinking process goes at our side. So the most difficult thing is to just sit down and think of a new material. Where should we start? What's out there? Let's do your market research, and possibly there is something that you think of, and it's your gut feeling that that could be a success. But even internally, you have endless discussion why your gut feeling is better than others. But possibly there's an opportunity, and you try and see if it works in 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years, or it's a total failure. That's the one. And the second one is that a customer with a certain application, like shoes, printing shoes, has certain requests in which you say, well, we would like to mimic a conventional shoe, but we still use one material. So is it possible to use several colors using FDM tech? Okay, this is a real request, and then we're going to start working with that. What's the possible use case here, and how dynamic and flexible do we need to be? Because of course, the first request is not the final request. That's an iterative process, because you work with dynamic customers in our business, which are highly depending on making that what they think of, what they print, a success. So it can go anywhere, but still we need to work to making that application work. That's the most important thing. If it's tough PLA, if it needs to be heat resistant, lighter, whatever. So that's the second line. The third line is that customers come to us and say, well, we would like to have a drop-in for a current competitor of ours, one of your competitors. Can you please deliver? Yeah, and we need to match the material, match the color. Sure. We also like to do that. And then what I like to ask, of course, is why do you choose us? And then if I hear the right arguments, yeah, then of course that makes my team and me happy. So that's the third one. The fourth one is we have a network of suppliers all over the world. So from the US, from Europe, from Asia, who of course also have their R&D and R&D coming up with new ideas, new materials, new formulations, new way of combining their polymers. And at that moment, we of course listen very closely and see, okay, what can we come up with, and can we make the combination what the customer is currently requesting or had requested in the past, or what we thought of but didn't work at the time because of, let's say, a heat resistant which was not possible, or a antibacterial which was not possible, or a PLA flame retardant was not possible, but now it is. So we look at our past project, revive them, and then speed up the process to make that happen. Those are basically, I think, the most important ones, more the reasons why we deliver the materials to the market. Most interesting to see is how these materials in real life work. are functional and look if we can improve. Because launching a material is easy, but keeping the customers happy and developing material further is the most important part of our business. Doesn't stop.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure you get plenty of requests every month for, different and new materials, as well as little tweaks to existing materials,
Yep.
for those specific applications that your customers are into. I was particularly interested by one of your recent launches of the new material that is metal detectable,
Yep.
the PA that is metal detectable. Can you kind of bring me through how that development came to be of that specific material?
Yeah, this is one example from the category number 4. So where a supplier says, well, we have available, we developed in small quantities this material, which possibly could be a good fit to filament production in general. Are you interested? So then we pick up this project, we develop it, and we had in the past these customer asking for a metal detectable. So in agriculture or food industry, we had these customers, and we had to say no in the past. So at that moment, yeah, we're going to do that. It's interesting, but it also makes a mark for the brand. So it's a good product to have. It's something else. It's not the plain PLA. So then we with the team, we together decided, okay, we're going to go with this project. We want to have this, even if at that moment we don't have that specific customer, but there is an industry which we think it makes sense to provide this material to. And yeah, I think we have been proven right again. So yeah, and that's a good thing too. So again, at that moment, suppliers, and it's also good for these suppliers to see that we make it a success, because hopefully they think about us next time as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, having those very specific applications for different materials, I'm sure that spurs other interest as well for other applications. When someone sees, oh, this is a metal detectable material, maybe I could use that for another application.
Yeah. And it is for another application. So often it is that we have a material like this, and like I just said, we think it's good for agriculture and food, but possibly there is another industry which we didn't think of, which will possibly use it. And that's a good thing. But also for us, if we then sell this material, we of course hope that the other materials get some attention too. And of course, in agriculture, there is also fixtures, and also printed prototyping of any kind. Of course, we hope to sell other materials as well. That's also part of our thought process here. But we want to have these specialities with high value for the customer.
I definitely think there's high value, and I can speak from experience that your team is very dedicated to what they're doing and very helpful. If there are any technical questions about those materials that I'm looking to solve a problem, either in the prosthetics and orthotics industry or elsewhere, I mentioned that I currently use your VarioSure TPU and quite a lot of it, and all the different colors as well, which is pretty fun.
How do you like it, Joe?
I love it. I love it. It's honestly, there's so the flexible inner socket for a prosthetic socket is the perfect application for it in my mind, because it's extremely lightweight, and we can actually build up cushions around bony anatomy for amputees that are otherwise having a hard time being comfortable in a socket. We build up these 6 to 9 to 15 millimeter cushions, either around for below the knee amputee, let's say, around the fibular head or the distal tibia, or just around the very distal end of the limb. We'll build up that cushion, and what we've noticed is actually there's less instance of skin abrasion over that bony anatomy, and just overall general better comfort. So I'm very happy with that material specifically for that application, and we do quite a few of those sockets. So that's been a really nice in new innovation really in the prosthetics and orthotics field that you can't otherwise traditionally manufacture that way as well. So that's what I feel like has the best, value and impact for some of these materials that you're coming out with.
Yeah, well, I can say that makes me happy, Joe. So, and this is a material that is very short, which was an invention by colorFabb, where we didn't know who or what the customer were and what is the industry, who are the customers, what is the application. We didn't know, but we thought, well, let's give it a go. Let's launch the product and see what happens. And you see that over time, of course, it gets adopted, it gets used, and of course, printing with the material, there are various aspects which you need to think about and need to process, but it gives enormous possibilities now. So you see, yeah, it lands very well in the prosthetics, in the orthotics, in anything that needs to be lightweight and can move and has some friction. Perfect. Comfort, perfect. And also if you look at post-processing, and so you possibly notice that even after printing, if you heat it up with a heat gun, you can just press it, and the other fabric or material you can press it along. So it gives enormous possibilities. And yeah, I think from this product we just started, and of course in your market, in your medical field, it needs also some time to get fully introduced. But then it's the 3D topic as such, right? Sure. You have a lot of colleagues which of course work somewhat conventional, still very good experts, but it needs some time. And you see a lot of young people, of course, when they drop out of school here in Europe, and they use the 3D printing because they see all the new techniques, and of course we make sure that they see whatever we come up with, being a printer or filament, and they request their employer, we would like to 3D print, we would like to do it different, we see certain advantages, and that's a good thing. And as an employer, if you are a company, it's good to you have this shortage of labor, right? Sure. That's what we are facing here in Europe. I don't know about the situation in the US, but we face so well-trained labor force is missing. Everybody gets older, and the young people say, well, I would like to do this. This is my profession, but I would like to work with excellent equipment and use my brain somewhat more. And the great thing about the additive manufacturing is that you can have multiple machines running 24/7. Yeah, you can have designs which you in the medical field would like to have with materials which really make sense and bring something of added value to the table. And that's what excites me when I see this happening. I see print farms, I see this application, I think, okay, this is again the triangle of hardware, software, material, which is a perfect fit. And the young people are driving this. So again, when I visited Barcelona, the footprint TV, young people at the stage, young people making a move, young people make a difference. And young for me, of course, is everything younger than 35, right?
Sure. Yeah, which I fall into that category, but not.
Yeah, that's why I say
yeah. Yeah. So with VarioShore specifically, I started using it in this very particular use case for prosthetic sockets. We're now using it for prosthetic foot shells, going over the prosthetic foot itself as well as some protective covers to take a 3D scan of the contralateral limb, mirror that image, and then have the very nice 3 skin tones printed out for a prosthetic cover. So that's how we're primarily using it right now at Ascent Fab. With the kind of internal development that you did for VarioShore, how did you come about that idea, and how did they come about that idea in the first place to have this chemical foaming agent within a TPU? And why was it a TPU versus a a PLA, or how did that thought process come about?
We looked at what's possible in our process to implement and what's available. And here it was simply, okay, we would like to have a TPU which is formable. So let's try to hit that. So what's needed? And there are several techniques to do that. And some of them have been tried, some of them not. And we at colorFabb, we took the process, we took certain additives, and within the material, we make the perfect fit. And it was really a thought process of, okay, you need to do something different. Of course, we can make TPUs, no problem, any kind. But it's how can we break up the market? How can we make a name for ourselves? So this is what we would like to have. And again, not knowing who would use it, but can it be done? Can it be done? Because we have a gut feeling that possibly we can make a change. And then after long testing, working together with several suppliers, the team managed to make that work. Yeah, and then further along the line, of course, you see, okay, what else is possible? Like, can you make it antibacterial, antifungus? Yes, you can. Can you make it more stiff? Yes, you can. Can you make a variety of colors? Of course you can. Can we make a variety of more and less foaming? Yes, we can. And are the customers requesting this? Is this something that we put in our standard portfolio, or just do the development with one of our customers who specifically says, yeah, I want to have this IP, don't tell anybody, and then go along with that, which is also, of course, very good for us. So this is how we tried to develop. So again, this was gut feeling. This was, okay, how can we use this know-how of our team to make that work? And we have material scientists here, robotica. We have commercial guys here, marketing, and if you have the perfect fit in the team, then you can make such a product. And of course, we are copied. We are copied a lot, which I always consider a badge of honor, to be honest. Commercially, it's not that good, of course, but it's a badge of honor, because then you know you're doing a good job.
Sure. Yeah, no, I definitely can agree with that statement. And one of the other materials that I'm quite interested in, actually, but I haven't used myself, is your alpha, this PHA. Can you? So I don't know a whole lot about PHA in general, and I don't know how much my listeners know about it. Can you take me into a little bit more of the chemical nature of that material and kind of what that's being used for?
Yeah, I try to explain it simple, because I'm not a material scientist even. I'm not trying to mimic it. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. So the PHA, what actually is PHA? It's a polymer, so it's a plastic, right? In essence, and it's actually the energy source of a bacteria. So if you have a bacteria, certain strains of bacteria, and 135 have been identified. If you feed it some food source, so organic food source, of course, can be sugarcane, can be anything. And depending on what you give them, it's also in the energy source, so the fat reserve of, as to say, of the bacteria, that they develop a different kind of PHA building block. That building block you can take out by fermentation out of the bacteria, and you immediately have the polymer. So there's no chemical process, no chemicals put in there to actually extract that PHA. So, and with these building blocks, so PHA is not one molecule, it's a whole variety of molecules which you can make, so polymers. And with combining them, you can make anything. You can make tough material, you can make flexible material. The whole range. So you can mimic an ABS, you can mimic a PLA. So anything out there you can mimic with the building blocks. That doesn't mean that every building block is already readily available. Yeah? But again, back to what is PHA? If you take PHA, which is then fully 100% bio, of course, because it's the energy source of the bacteria, you can immediately give it back to the bacteria and they will eat it. So it's made by nature, eaten by nature. So it's home compostable. Home compostable. What does it mean? If the layers are thin enough, within 6 weeks, it's gone. It's eaten. And not because it dissolves, it's eaten. So our strategy as colorFabb, we say, okay, we want to make use of any building blocks of PHA available, put in the knowledge of our team. We have done some studies, also together with Helium Polymers / Faradox, which is also agented to our company, and other partners out there, which are also working on the same subject. And objective is always to come up with a material which then can replace and be a drop-in for any material out there, because that makes sustainable really sustainable. Right? So what we try to do is to mimic certain materials and offer the customers in the end an alternative. So this is our long-term strategy. So if you as a client customer can purchase a material, let's say the VarioShore, and you can buy a material which is also like VarioShore but biodegradable, and it makes sense in your application.
Yeah,
you can make a conscious choice to purchase that and use that, and have the same specifications to come along with that. And it's up to the customer, of course, to decide whatever they want. But and what we try to do is to give a drop-in for any material which we currently have. Of course, it needs to be easy printable, and we have some challenges there, and we're waiting for certain building blocks, but we know it's possible. We're working hard on that, and we have some things already prepared, which will hit the market this year.
Yeah, well, that's exciting to hear as well. Yeah.
So the PHA, the polyhydroxyalkyronate, is really a subject which deserves some attention out there, which is an alternative and really a conscious choice to make for everybody of us. So to say, okay, well, even if you put it in a recycle bin somewhere, fine. Even if it does end up in a landfill, right? It's still eaten by the bacteria. It disappears. Yeah. So it's a biopolymer, home compostable. But this is for us the ultimate grail. Of course, we have the first product in the market. We are improving it as we speak, and there are multiple variants possible.
So with that specific bacteria that breaks down and eats the PHA, is that bacteria found all over the world? Is it only very specific to some locations? And should we be putting it into our compost piles instead of landfill? Or are there other ways that we could be addressing those parts that don't need to be reused?
In our cells, our body, in our gut, we have 40 million bacteria, microorganisms. Yeah. And we need those, right? And they already consume in us PHA. We have PHA in our body, which is okay. And if you go to soil your garden at home, there are always millions and millions of bacteria, and those will do.
Sure.
Yeah. So that does not need to be anything added. It's simply nature itself which simply eats it. It's a natural process. Nothing to worry about. Does it harm us? No, of course not. So it's really a material which has endless possibilities. And in the end, it's also, if you go for packaging industry, it will be used in packaging. It is. There will be alternatives for film. There will be alternatives for, let's say, an automotive. Anything out there is possible. So if you go for molding, can be molded, and it's only now, the last few years, that some big corporates are really investing in this technology of using the microorganisms, giving them food, fermentation, harvest, and bring it into market. just now. And yeah, we are very excited that we can be part of that, a small part, because of in a filament there is a high added value and certain applications where you can imagine, of course, that when you enter a market with such a niche product and low volume of production everywhere, that comes at a slightly higher price point. Of course, we want to bring that high price point down, and we do everything possible to make that happen.
Well, with with some of the applications that you see for PHA, what are some customers coming to you and asking, can I print this with PHA? Or do they go ahead and purchase the material anyways? And then what are some of the applications that you see people printing?
Yeah, so of course, when we launched the material in June 22, we had the early adopters, and we followed up on the early adopters. What are you doing with the material? And of highest interest was simply the fact that they print a small object and then see if it's really home compostable. Right? They try, which is a good thing. And if you look at a wider range of applications, we got those questions. At the moment, we are still developing the material and finding a right fit to their demand. So there are a lot of customers, which I can't reveal any names, who have these certain requests, which we are developing for. And when I look at what are they using, I see a lot of sculptures, of course. It's tough material and nice, soft feeling. I see some hobby object. I see some interior parts. You know, the PHA which we currently have tends to warp a little, so there needs to be not too much touching the floor when you print the heat bed. So there are certain conditions, and then the next generations of PHA material will be much better. Any application can use PHA in the end, any, because the whole variety of polymers can be matched, and we can deliver a drop-in for any material out there. That's a great thing, and that has been studied already. There are reports and everything. So yeah, and we are excited to do that.
Yeah, well, that's one material that I think I'm going to be trying to get my hands on pretty soon to test out some of the fun possibilities. And you know, because we always have fun ideas here at Ascent Fab for other things that we could be printing if we need something here around the lab. You know, printed myself out a garbage can the other day because I needed a garbage can. Printed a set of shelves for the office because we needed some shelves. You know, we have these fun, interesting ideas that pop up all the time, and that's one of the neat things about, you know, working with a company like colorFabb is you have a very wide range of different materials, a lot of very vibrant, fun colors that can't be found elsewhere as well. So, you know, I'm sure that, you know, seeing some of these applications for some of these different materials kind of spurs that interest in someone else to think, oh, well, maybe I could do this with that certain material, right? You know,
we have a lot of materials available on the web shop, or if you send us a mail. But we actually have, I think, 2,200 recipes readily available, which we can make. And we have access to any supplier on the globe to get the right material. And then with our knowledge, we can do it, practically almost anything.
Sure.
And that's perfect. So being a rather small company, we're not as big, but highly specialized. We can very easily have an agile, flexible, and dynamic R&D development in a few weeks. We can deliver on time. We have an excellent customer service. I don't want to sell the company here, but that's really what we do. Sure. And we constantly work with the best customers out there. Most vibrant, most dedicated, most brave. And that's really something that makes a difference. Know that here the team really makes that extra step for those customers.
To have that extra level of collaboration definitely is special.
Absolutely.
Between, you know, people that are dedicated and very excited about what they're doing, for sure. With
that I often say we are not positive or negative, but we're also unstoppable. We just get the work done.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's really something that we tend to do all the time. So here the collaboration is, I think, intense. Always can be better, but we try to communicate every morning on our status of project, status operations, status of delivery. Before we enter the building, we already know where we are, from process side. And this gives us the opportunity, we manage this well, this gives us the opportunity to focus on the customer, to focus on what needs to be done, and not focus on what goes wrong or has not been done or whatever. No, that's not what we do.
Right. With how much development your team has done with these different materials, what would you say your favorite colorFabb material is right now? And do you have your own 3D printer that you're printing with colorFabb materials?
Well, I am in the lucky position to have a lot of printers here.
Sure.
And the experts also operating those. I have several favorites here. So we have the Bamboo Lab, of course. We have the new Prusa in. We're printing with the Ultimakers. But also the Creality is doing a wonderful job. So I'll be honest to you, every morning when I come to work, the first thing I do, I go to my print lab, look at all the objects, all the materials which we are testing, new or existing, and I'm excited for every print, to be honest. That's the best thing I do, best job in the world. Because this is creative, this is innovative, this is really making a difference. If you look at my favorite material, yeah, possibly it's the VarioShow. Yeah. Why? It's on the same level as, let's say, lightweight PLA or PHA, which will conquer the world. But the VarioShow, at the moment as we speak, serves, as you just explained, the purpose of having comfort, delivering some added value, helping people retain their mobility, right? So it's, for me, that's important, and yeah, makes everything a little bit better. So that's a good thing. So I would say yes, VarioShow, to answer your question.
Sure. Yeah, I'd have to say VarioShow is my favorite as well. Like I said, we carry quite a bit of it, and we're showing people what's possible with it for those flexible inner sockets. So it's been having some great success, making people comfortable again in sockets that weren't otherwise comfortable before. So it's nice to see that, these specific materials that may have been developed for a different reason, or just out of curiosity for what could happen. I'm happy to say that we're putting it to use, and pushing the boundaries with how we're using it as well. So
sure.
Yeah,
and I think in the future there will be more things to come. So, but again, we're waiting some. Waiting certain hardware development, but you could imagine that if you have a machine with multiple print heads in it, which can easily exchange during printing, and of course this is also already possible. But if you then use different kinds of VarioShow with different types of foaming, or even the color or consistency, so we could put fibers in there and whatever, makes sense if you look at a prosthetics that in itself not only making a difference with the temperature and playing around with that, to say, okay, by the way, within the printing process, you can even give more stiffness in certain areas of a prosthetic, which then solves a problem. And we would like to solve problems. So if you have a requirement out there, this could possibly be a future step for us. So we're constantly looking out for the hardware improvements, what's out there, testing those, and trying to be ahead.
Sure. With all this development that colorFabb is doing, can you share with me a little bit about where you see colorFabb growing into in the future? Are there any specific industries that that colorFabb's definitely going to be a part of for your applications for these materials, or other fun developments that you can share?
Yeah. So the way I see our business evolving is that we will definitely serve our consumer market, have these fun materials out there, these specials, which we love to work with. That's let's say 30%, 40% of our business. And the other business is really working with the B2B medical. Medical is very important to us. But also, if you look at drones, RC planes, that's a big part of our business. So what's happening over there? Defense applications, which we're looking at, and our customers are exploiting. So those are important things. Of course, if you look at interior parts, one of our biggest customers is also situated in California. So making lamps, but there are also, I can't reveal the name. It's very difficult for me, this.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, these are new customers. So, but there are also, let's say, agented printing techniques, let's call it like that, which we are currently also studying together with these new customers. So, yeah, a lot of things are happening. So where do we see ourselves? Of course, we have a 20% growth rate at the moment, every year. We are now making plans to how can we in 24 actually cope with this high demand, because it will double. And let's say the Vario show will double, we think. We hope. And we're working hard on that. And give also more alternatives to what we're currently doing. We hope to start a production facility and warehouse in the US. So just at the 1st of September, we founded a colorFabb Inc. We're talking to several institutes to what's the possible location. So we need to be ahead of our game. We're talking to partners in the US, also for the PHA. We were talking with our Asian colleagues also about PHA. How can we make that work? What do we need? So there are a lot of things going on. A lot of good things.
Very nice. Yeah, well, to hear that you might be setting up shop here in the US is pretty exciting. You know, I think the biggest thing for some companies to determine where they're getting their filament from right now is simply the cost of it, right? And how long does it take to get a product? You know, thankfully the shipment process coming from the Netherlands hasn't been too bad whatsoever, and been very quick for us.
It has. But we do intend, of course, to work more intense with US resellers as well. But we definitely, got indicated that we need to step up our game, supply even faster. And for us, if you look at cost-wise, it makes sense to start production in the US in the end. If these volumes keep growing in the way that it is, we need to do that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. That'll be exciting to watch as well with that development. With all of the new materials that are coming out, the different industries that you're in, do you see any one industry utilizing your materials more than others right now, or any other particular industry that's kind of unique and you didn't quite think that would be utilizing some of these materials as much?
Difficult to say, Joe.
Yeah,
I mentioned some already. I try to look at the market in segments and applications in usage of. I mentioned them already. I think that within 1 year, we will see in the market that consumers will start to purchase more and more printed objects.
Sure.
Yeah? These can be, let's say, textile related, so apparels related. These can be sneakers related. These can be lighting. These can be electronic devices, your lawnmower. A lot of startup scale-ups already are doing this and are making a big difference, and it makes sense for them to do it because No, that's the case. So definitely there will be things out there, and we will see them next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested to follow these more consumer level products as well, to see what people are interested in buying. I agree that probably even by next year we'll see a few hundred more consumer products that are maybe not even advertised as being 3D printed, but they otherwise will be 3D printed,
They are out there. Yeah.
right?
It
And
is also for if you have. It's always the question: will you sell more if you tell the end user that it's 3D printed? Yes or no?
sure, right,
Sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's just
right.
a beautiful looking object. Doesn't need to be. The moment you can say, well, it's 3D printed, and that's why the design looks so cool. It's amazing. And by the way, because of this material, yeah, you can return it and we can recycle it again. It can be
Mm-hmm.
used again and again, really recycle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is the advantage which we have. You could say, well, it's a disadvantage that you print an object and it's one material most of the time. I see this as an advantage because it gives you the opportunity to take products back, to regrind it, to use it again, to make it cheaper in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I only see the opportunities out there.
Sure. In your opinion, with the growth of these consumer products that are being printed, do you feel there's a need for a consumer level marketplace specific to 3D printed products, or somehow otherwise being able to get some of these products out to individuals?
No, no. You will in these kind of markets, how you're trained at school if you study business and so on. It's often the early adopters, of course, who are into fashion related stuff, right? But in the end, if the product in itself has a certain durability, has a certain look and feel, and solves problems of the end consumers, it will be a big success in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see our customers doing, the quality, how diverse in any industry, I'm convinced that you will see this in any household, on anybody. If you walk out your house, you will wear something 3D printed. It can be a 3D label on your jacket. It can be on your baseball hat. It can be your shoe.
Sure.
Anything, anything in
Yeah.
your car, anything.
Yeah, well, I already walk out of the house every day wearing something 3D printed on my watch, my Garmin watch. The
Yeah.
latch here broke, so I printed myself a new one out of TPU. And
Yes.
one little instance of fixing these everyday things that we come across, and having that inspiration for, oh well, I can redesign that, I can 3D
Yeah.
print that. That's
Yeah.
kind of how we have that thought every day here.
When I come home, I have very nice 3D printed sandals.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. I wish I had them 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So comfortable.
Are they made out of VarioShore?
They made a Faria show.
Okay.
Just say hello to Wojciech. He printed them for me. Thank you very much, Wojciech, our
Nice.
Polish customer. So again, I also wear 3D printed insoles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not because I have to, because it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I try to play around with anything that's possible. If you look at fabrics and three-dimensional object, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a playground. So yeah, I think everybody will have in the end 3D printed objects which they purchase, or because of the operating system and the printing itself becoming more and more easier. A lot of people will have a small printer, 300 euros at home.
Sure.
Print small paintings in 3D, small objects for your new watch, anything.
Sure.
Anything. Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, we're definitely excited to see that development as well, and appreciate the team over at colorFabb that's behind you as well for all the development they're doing for these specific materials. It is helping us in the medical field, absolutely, and I'm always excited to see what new stuff you're coming out with. So appreciate that, and thanks for sharing your journey into how colorFabb has developed over the past few years with us today. Is there anything else for our listeners that you'd like them to know about colorFabb?
Well, we like to invite anybody to our location, and I mean that really truthfully. So if anybody is around, please give me a call. We're happy to invite you here to show you around. We would like to spread the word of 3D printing, how it can change stuff and current ways of doing. So if you have the slightest idea of, yeah, I would like to come in 3D printing, just visit us. We're happy to make time for you. And it doesn't mean that you need to be a big corporate. No, of course not. So as just told, startups, scale-ups, come on with these ideas. Sure. We are here to help you.
Sure. Well, we definitely appreciate that, and I'm sure the people listening, if they could get out to the Netherlands to come see you, I'm sure they would. As will I. Hopefully, maybe next year during the Form next time. I'm looking to try to get out there next year, and that could be a good possibility.
Yeah. So please reach out to me, drop me a mail. I will be at the Form next with my team. We have a booth there. We will be at the 3D Print Paris. So yeah, just get in contact and see how we can help each other.
For sure. Well, thank you very much again for your time today. To our listeners, thank you very much for listening to the Fabrication Friday podcast again this week. We truly appreciate having you on with us, and hope you enjoyed this episode with Bert. So we will see you next week. Thank you. And that was a great Fabrication Friday episode here with Bert. I mean, honestly, he is a slew of awesome information. And again, the attention to detail that colorFabb has is quite remarkable when you talk about, a company that is interested in the renewable access to materials that are being used within the 3D printing industry, and just in general, having a very unique outlook on working with their customers very, very closely, whether it's in this reseller relationship like we have with them, or otherwise, if you're looking to come up with a brand new material, different blends of different materials, something that they might not have already, or different colors of materials. They're very, very welcoming and awesome to work with. So just want to thank you to Bert for coming on the podcast again this week. Finishing out today's Fabrication Friday, we have the tech tip of the week. So this tech tip is quite interesting. It's something that I didn't quite know about when I was first getting into 3D printing. So I'm going to talk about baby stepping a little bit. So baby stepping is a little micro adjustment of the Z offset that you can actually do during a print. In a lot of cases, a lot of different printers have this capability to micro adjust that Z offset at the very beginning of the print or during the print. If you see that there's actual material building up on itself over time, you might have to baby step that in order to avoid the nozzle hitting into the actual part itself. We saw this when we were trying to print some colorFabb VarioSure for some very thick devices that I kind of wanted solid. And, for that reason, you have to baby step the nozzle up a bit as the print is going so that that nozzle doesn't hit into the part, because we're essentially over extruding at that point. And although we want it extremely solid, we're building up too much material over time. So just in the interest of taking care of your machine, baby stepping can be useful in that sense. Really, you're only doing it by 0.05 millimeters, 0.1 millimeters, just little increments in order to make sure that you're not hitting into the nozzle as you are going about your print. Not necessarily needed. If you further dial in your print settings and you kind of tweak that infill overlap percentage a little bit there, then you won't have the material building up on itself too much over time. But if you're in a jam and you're watching the printer going and you see that this stuff is building up and you're already 75% of the way through your print and you don't want to lose your print, baby stepping can help out. Baby stepping is also very useful for kind of finding that initial Z offset. If you're having some trouble with putting a paper in between the bed and the nozzle itself, and you get that medium friction in between the bed and the nozzle, but for whatever reason on your lower end machines, maybe that Z probe isn't quite as accurate as it should be, and you might need to baby step that Z offset just a hair, either up or down. In some cases, to get better bed adhesion, you could go down, or making sure that it doesn't overlap those layers too much, then baby stepping that layer up. So that's our tech tip of the week. Take a look at your printer and see if it has that option to do some baby stepping. That could help you on the fly change a Z offset, go back and put that into your config.g file, whatever you find that offset to be, or just put that back into your slicer settings as the initial Z offset. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Fabrication Friday. Happy to be back this week. Really looking forward to the New York State Innovation Summit that is coming October 16th and 17th here in Saratoga Springs, New York at the City Center. If you're in the area and you want to come by and check out what is going on at the Innovation Summit, we're going to be exhibiting, having a table there, as well as October 17th, 5 to 7:30, we will have an open house event. So again, if you're in the area or otherwise are traveling into New York, come on by Ascent Fab, October 17th, Tuesday, from 5 to 7:30 for an open house and check out some of the prints that we got going on. All right, thanks guys, have a good one.